Oh my God, it's so pretty. Okay. He put a ring on it.
I know Kim has been waiting to say that.
He put a ring on it.
Talk about determination. Usman proposes to Kim after he receives his mom's blessing.
Will you marry me, baby?
Yes.
But, you know, there's always a but in 90-day land. After the proposal, Kim and Usman speak with an immigration attorney who informed them that what they agreed to in Usman's mom's contract,
Kimberly must allow Usman to marry a young lady in the future to enable to have children.
is illegal.
Well, there's a law against polygamy.
You cannot be for real.
I mean, at what point do you just stop and say, maybe this just is not meant to be? Seriously, let's get into it. Hey 90 Day Fans fam, it's Melicia. Before we get into the recap, I just want to take a moment to wish a happy Thanksgiving to those of you who celebrate. Enjoy the food, my favorite part. Enjoy your loved ones, that's good too. And if you're not doing anything major, take some time to enjoy yourself. All right, let's go ahead and get into a few other must-see moments before we get into Usman and Kim. First up, Bilal and Shaeeda and her bestie, Eutrice.
But I don't think we should be so presumptuous.
Last episode, Bilal and Eutrice did the most over dinner in New York City. They got into this heated back and forth because Eutrice wanted to ask whatever she wanted in regards to Bilal and Shaeeda's relationship. And Bilal straight up told her she was being...
Oh, nosy.
which didn't sit too well with Eutrice.
I'm trying to compose myself. Just give me a second. It's very serious. So, yeah.
When it comes to the argument, I read a number of your takes, and I love how some of your perspectives just open my mind up to things I didn't even think about, you know? Two Cute Puppies says, quote, whether Bilal is right or not, she is Shaeeda's best friend and will be the first person she runs to for support when she's having relationship issues. After that conversation, what does he think her best friend will say and do next time Shaeeda needs her friend? She's gonna badmouth Bilal and encourage Shaeeda to leave him. Sometimes being right is irrelevant because you've got a lot to lose. Beware of your words, Bilal. I agree, Two Cute Puppies. Pick your battles wisely. I think that speaks to what a lot of you mentioned when you said that Bilal finally met his match with Eutrice. I also saw that a lot of you feel as if Bilal should have brought that same you too nosy energy with his ex-wife Shaeeda. And while I agree that Bilal should have stronger boundaries when it comes to his ex, I also think it's a little different because Shaeeda is the mother of his kids. So as the father, he's gonna approach the situation differently than he would with his wife's best friend who he just met. As I see it, that's only natural. I assume that when your kids are in the picture, there's so much more you think about. Ooh, another take that I found interesting was from OLCZI7. It's pretty long, so I'm going to read the parts that stood out to me, and I'm gonna call you O. O says in part, quote, I get she, Eutrice, wanted to be protective, but as a friend, she should keep it cool with Bilal for Shaeeda's sake. Shaeeda chose this man at the end of the day and wants them to get along, so she should respect that and at least give Bilal a chance before getting all negative.
Eutrice talked a lot about you?
I'm sure. Hopefully good things.
Oh, yeah. See about that?
O goes on to say, quote, healthy boundaries are important in all relationships, including friendships. Besides, Bilal is already Shaeeda's husband. It's not like Shaeeda's going to divorce him because her friend does not approve of him. See, that's my thing. No matter how Eutrice feels about Bilal, no matter how we feel about Bilal, I'm not getting the gist that Shaeeda is about to leave him. At least not right now.
Divorce is never a good option for a Muslim.
I'm not saying I would have done it perfectly if I was in Eutrice's shoes, but how I see it from the outside looking in, they're already married. So as her friend, I will be thinking about ways I can make this better and not worse. And that takes being tactful and not being led by your emotions. Truly asking yourself, how can I be part of the solution here and not add to the problem? Also, I just want to say, shout out to all of you who are brave enough to share your perspectives. We're not gonna agree on everything. We all have different opinions, and that's fine. It makes for great conversation when it's done with respect. Plus, at the end of the day, this show is for our entertainment. These are not our lives. So, I think it's wise to not get too overly invested. Just throwing that out there. All right, diving into this week's episode, Shaeeda and Eutrice meet up the morning after her confrontation with Bilal.
Last night, I was glad that Eutrice was sticking up for me.
Trish, you called it. Trish James says, quote, "A part of me feels like Shaeeda knew this clash would happen, and deep down, she couldn't wait for her best friend to tear his up." Trish, I don't even know you, but I could hear you saying that.
Last night, I was glad that Eutrice was sticking up for me. But I woke up this morning and I realized that it's not helping matters to antagonize Bilal, because that's not the way to get him to give me what I want. And what I want right now is to open a yoga studio and be a mother and start a family with Bilal.
I'm not sure if Shaeeda is thinking that all the way through. She says right now she wants to start a business and have a baby. That's a lot of pressure. I mean, more power to you, girl, if that's what you want to do. It's not impossible, but it sounds like a lot. What most people do is take off from work when they have a new baby. Anyway.
I'm gonna apologize first, right?
Once Eutrice and Shaeeda start to talk about the argument, Eutrice apologizes to Shaeeda for making her feel uncomfortable.
I feel like initially you were a little feisty and heated.
Really?
Girl, yes. Flashback.
So I can ask you anything
I
I
sit
want.
down with her father. I sit down with her mother. All of her sisters.
But you didn't sit down with me,
Yeah.
her best friend.
I'm a Caribbean woman, I understand that. That's how we are. But I realize in American culture, they will take that as something that's offensive.
It's as if he swing the whole thing as if it was my fault, you know what I mean? And I was just like thinking, is he always like that? Does he do that with you sometimes?
And the crowd says...
Yep.
You asked me a kind of tricky question here, Gil. Like, even if him and I have an argument, I feel like it's hard for me to get my point across because I felt like he deflects a lot.
This is what I mean, hon. And that's what I picked up on last night.
Even though Eutrice was so heated last night, Bilal can be difficult to deal with. After dinner, Bilal was angry, so we went to bed and there was no conversation.
That's not a big surprise, unfortunately. Shaeeda then reveals something to Eutrice that leaves her speechless.
Yeah, remember I told you we put a timeline when we could have children?
And how do you feel about that?
Well, I went to the doctor. The doctor told me by the time I'm 40, there's going to be a 5% chance to get pregnant.
Are you serious? And what did Bilal say about this?
Since the doctor's visit, Bilal and I, we have never had a conversation of when are we going to have children now. It cannot be 3 years from now when my chances are 5%, right?
You can't have that conversation because it's hard for you to get through to him?
Shaeeda is really in a tricky and unfair position right now. After receiving drastic news like that, they haven't talked about it. Just think about that. It comes off as a lack of respect.
You need to disarm him. What I mean is, make him not be so comfortable, hon. He's very comfortable. That's why you can't get through to him.
Eutrice goes on to tell Shaeeda she needs to put more pressure on Bilal when it comes to the baby.
I think you've waited all these years, and I think he deserves to understand that and to give you everything.
Every time I blink my eyes, I hear tick-tock. I feel as if I continue to wait, I could wait for a lifetime.
Later in the episode, when Eutrice and Bilal meet one-on-one for the first time since their back and forth, they give each other a pleasant, yet seemingly phony, greeting.
How you doing? You enjoying this beautiful weather?
Yes,
Isn't this hotel pretty nice?
It's nice. It's a beautiful setting.
And once they end the small talk, Eutrice cuts straight to the chase.
There were just like a couple of questions I kind of wanted a little bit more clarity on, if that's okay with you.
One of the questions Eutrice asked Bilal is how he would feel if Shaeeda turns up pregnant 6 months from now.
Like, no stretch of the imagination are we trying to have children.
Okay.
But if it was a situation where she was like, hey,
She's pregnant.
I'm pregnant, you know, 6, 7 months from now, whatever.
Great.
Alhamdulillah, all praise be to God.
So they're not planning to have the baby, but if the baby happens, it's the will of God. So I'm thinking tomorrow when I speak to Shaeeda, tell her she could forget to take her birth control pills. That way she could get pregnant. And Bilal say he'll be happy, and I know definitely Shaeeda will be happy. Problem solved.
She's coming in with that save the day energy.
Problem solved.
We'll have to wait and see how Shaeeda feels about Eutrice's plan. Although, I'm not sure if she's still taking birth control, because she mentioned this at the beginning of their trip to New York.
I'm hoping that when I leave this trip, inshallah, that I'm pregnant. Like, I hope that I could have some news. Like, the doctor told us to try, so we could at least see if something happens, you know?
In the meantime, Ashley J says, quote, I want Shaeeda to play a prank on Bilal and pretend to be pregnant. Then he would have to confess that he has had a vasectomy and there ain't no way. That's hilarious. Well, according to Bilal, he has not had one. I actually asked him about it, and here's what he had to say. Well, there are some fans who think you secretly sniffed yourself.
I've heard that too. I've heard it. Here's the funny thing is that, one, I'm Black, I'm African-American. It's hard enough to get an African-American male to go to the doctor. So when you talk about sniffing his manhood.
That's the unfortunate truth.
We typically don't do that. Let alone I'm Muslim too. So the rumors and stuff are pretty funny. Just to say that.
Yeah. All right, that took longer than expected, but we had to finish that conversation. Moving on, I want to take a look quickly at this next must-see moment. Angela and Michael finally go to therapy, y'all.
Whew, oh, thank God.
Yes, Michael suggested they go talk to a therapist before Angela goes back to the States. And the therapist was pretty insightful. She even put Angela in her place.
The last 3 months, at one point, I was so, should I say, frustrated. I was just so tired of everything. Like, I mean, we've been waiting for the past 2 years.
So you take it out on your wife?
Let me finish.
And I'd like to just encourage you that when one person is speaking, listen to the other person.
Look at Angela's face. Yes, let that soak in. She needs to hear that.
If you don't communicate, mistrust will step in. So they should learn to express themselves without having a reservation. There should be no secret between them. That's a good thing in marriage.
Makes sense. During the session, Angela also decided to confess something.
Yeah, I do have something to tell you. Since we're gonna start the slate clean.
I'm listening.
So, I had put duet. Have you ever heard of TikTok?
I would love to know what this lady is thinking. I find it so interesting to see how outside professionals who appear on the show react to the 90 Day cast members and all of their drama. At least we know how wild the cast and their situations can be, but in most cases, I would assume that these professionals are learning for the first time on camera.
So...
What was it?
This thing about Billy.
Are you falling in love with him or what?
I developed a crush on Billy.
Did you develop a crush on
A
Billy?
TikTok crush. It wasn't nothing big.
Crush is crush.
If Michael would have said that, Angela would have flipped that room upside down in her American Apparel. Michael says she looks like she's running for Miss USA.
Are you going for Miss USA?
I'm going. I am Miss USA, baby.
Okay, back to the therapy sesh.
I decided to tell Michael about me having my TikTok crush on Billy.
Wait, what? Her TikTok crush? Angela's out here sounding like a Gen Zer.
I decided to tell Michael about me having my TikTok crush on Billy because we're both going to continue to move forward. We both need to come clean.
Well, next week, Angela's gonna go as far as calling Billy in front of Michael.
Hi, Billy.
Hey, Angel. Who do you keep talking to?
My husband, Michael.
Oh,
yeah.
Michael's there.
And then a change of pace, Michael is going to be the one who storms off. All right, well, let's move on to Kim getting that ring. Last episode, Usman and Kim received his mom's blessing to get married, but they had to sign a contract promising Usman's family that Kim would allow Usman to travel from the US to Nigeria 4 times a year, and promising them that Kim would allow Usman to marry a second wife so he can have children. So now that all of that is out the way and Kim can officially be the first wife, Usman sets up this sweet proposal, which takes Kim by surprise.
I like this room. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Babe, I told you, like, after all we've been through, Tanzania, Nigeria, now we're here in Nigeria, we'll be battling, struggling. Our mom said yes, so if truly I love you, what else will I wait?
I'm all hot and sweaty now, though.
Will you marry me, babe?
Yes!
Kim is beyond happy, which is nice to see because she deserves it. We all do. And one thing is for sure, Kim's a fighter. She wanted this man and she did not give up. Y'all remember when he would call her potential and he wouldn't have sex with her? Now they're an engaged couple.
He put a ring on it.
If I didn't partially still believe that Usman was using her for a green card, I would say their journey is somewhat motivational.
Oh my God, I can kiss you here now, huh?
Not really.
Usman and Kim revealed that the plan is for Kim to go back to the US, file for the K-1 visa. Once that gets approved, Usman will come to the States and they will get married here.
It's not actually that I am trying to like live in the state. Here in Nigeria is where I run my business. Music is there, the way I take care of my family is there. The ultimate goal is that we should just have access to both countries.
I really hope Usman is genuine and he proves us wrong. Because after that statement right there, all I could think is he just wants international access. Which makes sense to why he would want someone so loyal, so they can be loyal enough until he gets his green card. Okay, I'm not trying to assassinate this man's character. All I'm saying is that I personally still have doubts.
And I got the blessing.
It's the night before Kim leaves to go back home to America, and they call the immigration lawyer to see what are the next steps they should take. And what she says puts a stop to all of their plans.
Camilla, my family, they want me to be coming to Nigeria every 3 or 4 months. Back to Nigeria here. So, is that possible, and how can we go about that?
That's not going to be possible because what's going to happen is you guys have to get married within 90 days. And then after the 90 days, then you would file your application for your green card. And you're not going to be able to travel unless you get permission to travel.
I don't want to have any problem with my family,
Right,
actually.
no, I don't either.
Well, when it comes to the big stipulation here, which is that Kim must allow Usman to marry a second wife, that's not gonna work either.
Engagement agreement.
Wow.
The lawyer said, wow. I told you, watching these professionals is something else.
Kimberly must allow Usman to marry a young lady in the future to enable to have children. Look, we had to sign it.
Well, there's a law against polygamy. I don't know if you guys know that. So in other words, in the United States, you can't marry more than one woman.
But not in the United States. But if he comes back to Nigeria and picks a woman from his region, then he could do it here. It just wouldn't be recognized in the United States, right?
Even though it's okay to do in other countries, in the United States, it's prohibited. And so you could lose your green card if it were found that you were polygamous, that you were married to more than one person.
Dang, another roadblock, and this time it's the government, not his mama. It's gonna be interesting to see how they get through this one. Fast forward, the episode ends with Usman dropping Kim off at the airport in an emotional goodbye.
I only have short, limited times with him, you know? So it's just hard. Like, I wish I could just take him with me or just stay longer or something. I love you.
I love you too, babe.
I'll text you when I get to Germany.
Okay. All right.
Bye. This trip showed me how much I mean to Usman, but it is really discouraging that our marriage could be in danger. I feel like so much of our future is just out of our control.
Well, when it comes to next week's preview, it looks as if Kim and Usman aren't gonna give up their marriage plans just yet. Apparently, Usman's gonna look into adoption.
Everything was so confusing with the lawyer, so we need to talk about like how we want things done. We found out that taking a second wife is illegal in America, but it's really important to Usman that he has a child.
I feel like maybe I'm going to adopt.
What? I don't understand. Who the raises the child? Me?
I'm asking, do you want to raise him?
No, no, Kim. That is another huge compromise. Whew. All right, 90 Day Fans fam, we're gonna have to wait and see how she responds to that. But in the meantime, next week there will not be a recap, but I'll be back the following week with everything you need to know. See you next time.